Alright, I got the originally engineered Magnefine. This one's actually made in Australia. If I can get the camera to focus. They don't make these anymore, so this is a back item, or whatever they call it, out of stock back item, made in Australia. This has its own special patent that separates the magnet. And you can see, even though this is a polymer plastic case, it sticks the magnet. So this has a bigger magnet than this. Has the Magnefine filter, but what happened was that Magnefine switched over to Filtran making their product and using the Magnefine name. So the Filtran has a smaller magnet, and also it's glued to the filter, and apparently it's not a good of a filter. This is a 30 micron filter, or 35, which is, it's a lot better than what's in the pan, the transmission pan. So I will put in the OEM magnetic filter, and then of course it will filter out any metal, because 85% of the metal is smaller than 15 microns. So that's like your transmission's constantly making little metal bits, and over time they damage the seals on the transmission, and so you want to capture that metal out. And so that's why I'm gonna install this, and I had to get special tools to install it. I'm still waiting on one part that I will pick up this afternoon, but GM has a special tool to take out the retainer clip on the connectors on the transmission hose. It's a really expensive tool, but I decided to get it just because you can use a pick, which is a cheap tool, and it works, but it's just kind of a pain to use the pick, and I decided I'm just going to try to make it as easy as possible. And then I got the brass quick connectors with the retainer clips, and so that's a lot stronger than just getting a plastic quick connector clip. And then I also got the fuel injector clamps, which is a lot better than the hose clamps. So that's my plan. I need to get one more attachment to connect this to the splash guard. That's the metal, like, little shelf that I can attach this to, and it'll come out of the radiator, and I'll have 12 inches of line, and then another 12 inches of line. I might cut that transmission hose, because the original transmission line is metal, but it's 15 inches, so I could probably cut like 6 inches or something, I don't know. So, but I just don't want it to kink up, so I want the transmission line to just kind of make a 45-degree turn. And so we'll see how it goes. And this one you can get, but it's not the OEM. It has a different patent, and so I wanted to go with the original patent, made in Australia. And I had to really track it down, because you can't. There's also these Rebestus filters that Napa sells them as Magnefine. So if you look on their website, they have this same image of the OEM Magnefine, and it says made in Australia on the Napa website. But when you actually get the filter, it's not Magnefine, it's Rebestus, and then it says made in China on the filter. So that's a knockoff, and it doesn't have the patent, so it's a smaller magnet, and it'd be more similar to this Filtran design that they copied, where it's just glued to the filter. But also those don't have a bypass valve. The ones made in China, apparently they don't have a bypass valve. I don't know if that's true or not, but people have had problems with that. When the filter gets clogged, then the filter would break open or whatever. And this is supposed to be, originally this was a screw-on top on the, but I can't unscrew it, so I think they started to heat seal the polymer, and that'll hold it better than the screw-on top. So I'm not gonna try to break it or anything. So too bad I can't get that to focus. There we go. They're made in Australia. Still won't focus. It's really annoying. Must be something wrong with it. I must have a setting wrong on the camera, like autofocus or something. Yeah, I don't know why it doesn't autofocus. Stupid camera. So the whole point is that the transmission oil has to go through the filter, and therefore through the magnet, and around the magnet. But in the transmission pan, the filter is down on the bottom of the pan, so the oil doesn't necessarily flow next to the magnet, so it doesn't pick up. It's also a much smaller magnet, and so the dealer actually sent out a technical service bulletin to add a second magnet to the transmission pan, because it messes up the solenoid. The pressure control solenoid is a magnet, and so that will attract all the little bits of metal over time, and then all of a sudden your transmission is slipping and bumping because the pressure is not strong enough to change the gears, change the clutch pads, and for the pressure control solenoid. So that's why it's really important to have a magnetic filter. And there's a few cars like Ford and I think Honda. No, I don't know about Honda, but anyway, where they actually have a inline filter, and you have to have an inline filter, external filter. But some of them, Ford uses this magnetic filter, but they use the Filtran. So they were using the Magnefine because Magnefine was Filtran. Like Filtran picked up the Magnefine brand name when they stopped making the Magnefine. So that's why this is actually a Filtran magnetic filter, but it's, like I said, it's not the same patent. So I'm going to stick with the OEM, the original engineered manufacturing. And I got this on eBay because that was the only place I could make sure. Actually, there's a couple. There's a company called ATP, and they bought the Magnefine filters, the original ones. And they have them. I think they still have them in stock. If you order it, you can still get the original. So, but the ones in China, this is also has a really good overflow bypass valve that I think it's set at 5 psi, which is pretty low. But they say you only have to change this out like 30,000 miles because it's such a big magnet. And there's several videos of people opening it up and the magnet's like just covered in metal bits. And there's one guy, I think he has the same transmission for over 350,000 miles because he used this type of filter. So it really does make a huge difference because normally a transmission is only rated to like 250,000 miles at best, which is how long my transmission lasted, 270,000 miles. And then I got a remanufactured transmission, so just trying to prevent that pressure control solenoid from collecting the small metal that is constantly developing. And what happens is the pressure control solenoid turns off, some of the time, so you lose the magnetic attraction on the solenoid, and it's during that time that it'll then get picked up by this magnet instead of being stuck on the pressure solenoid magnet, and therefore it will prevent the buildup of the so anyway, it's kind of fun. There you go.